Hello everyone, this is your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, here with another exciting video. And in this video, I'm going to be playing some AI Dungeon 2. Some AI Dungeon 2. What I'm going to do in this video is read through this scenario real quick, just like the beginning prompt and what the AI generated afterwards. After that, I'm going to start up a 20-minute timer. Then I'm going to try and see if I can fulfill my objective for this adventure within 20 minutes or less, and then after that I'm going to wrap up the videos. Without further ado, let's hop right in. If you guys like AI Dungeon 2 videos, make sure you smash that subscribe button because I do AI Dungeon 2 videos every day. Let's read this beginning prompt and what the AI generated after. You used to be a professional chemist until one day you created a drug that temporarily grants you superpowers. The duration of the drug's effects can last anywhere from 1 day to 1 hour, and the power the drug grants you varies from use to use. Using your amazing new drug, you helped to protect a church which now honors you as their god. After becoming a god, you quit your job and moved into the church. Your followers take care of your every desire, and in return, you promise to protect the church using your miracle drug. Your church recently moved to a magical continent that appeared overnight in the middle of the ocean. This magical continent is full of monsters, magical plants, and superpowered people. One of the inhabitants of the island has learned of your church and become envious of you. I was born with superpowers. Everyone who was born on this island has superpowers. Your superpowers are dependent on your drug and don't last very long, while my superpowers last forever. Why should you be the god of this church? Why shouldn't my people be the pantheon who rule over this church? Questions the envious leader. The islander's question immediately creates tension within the church. Some of your followers now wonder if you deserve to be their god, while others wonder if they should expand their pantheon to account for other superpowered beings. You know that if you don't act quickly, that you might lose your godly title. Then the AI added, due to your arrogance, the envious islanders succeeded in having you overthrown. You were stripped of your title and banished from the church. All of your followers abandon you, and you are left alone on the magical continent to rot. So yeah, my 20-minute adventure is going to involve me essentially being stranded on this magical continent. I was once a god. Before that, I was a chemist. Now I'm just a guy with superpowered drugs trying to survive on a world full of magic, monsters, and superpowered people. So let's get things started. Can I get my title back or at the very least survive in 20 minutes or less? Let's find out. Okay, so I'm going to return to my church and request that I be added back to the pantheon. Yeah, be added back to the pantheon of gods. You say, I was your first superpowered god. And while my powers aren't natural, or at least aren't ones I was born with, they have proven themselves useful for protecting the church. I don't think I should be banished from the church just because my powers are different from the powers of the inhabitants of the island. If anything, the source of my powers makes me unique. I believe I should be added back to the pantheon and honored as the god of the miracle drug. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can be honored again by them. So that's going to be my first attempt. Because you spoke with passion and reason, the high priest and priestesses agree to add you back to their pantheon of gods. You happily accept your restored status and move back into your church where you live happily ever after. Oh, well, that worked like a little too well because it's only been like 3 minutes. Um, okay, I'm gonna move back into the church. So that's awesome. So I was able to get my position back with like one quick speech. That's pretty good. I'm going to go to meet the other gods of the pantheon and reintroduce myself to them. Or I guess it wouldn't necessarily be reintroducing, but I'll introduce myself to them. Do 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 dink dink do 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 do. You walk up to the other gods of your pantheon and introduce yourself. Hello, my name is Nicholas, and I'm the god of the miracle drug, you say. Hi, Nikki. I'm Zaph. For one, AI Dungeon 2 needs to calm down. This is a regular thing that'll happen where it'll like suddenly throw out my like real government name, even though I didn't give it to it. Because my name actually is Nicholas, so it really throws me when the AI has me say, "Hello, my name's Nicholas." Like it just says my real name, so that's kind of crazy. I'm going to say to Zaph, "It is good to meet you, Zaph. Please call me Jen. That's my nickname. I am the god of, well, I already said I'm the god of the miracle drug. Um, I then am going to ask Zaph, what are you the god of, and what is your power? Do, 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 do. After a long conversation, Zath tells you that he is the god of luck, and that his power is to draw upon good luck for himself and his allies. Huh. I can't believe I never knew there was another god on the island until now. Why have I never heard of you? Asked Zath. Let's see. So I'm going to say to Zath, I was actually the god of this church before you. One day, an envious islander questioned why I was the god of the church. Why I was the god of the church, considering the fact that I get my powers from a drug, even though the inhabitants of the island are born with powers. The envious islander, led to me being banished, or I guess the envious islander's question led to me being banished, and you being made the new god of the church. And instead of saying that to Zath, I should explain that to Zath. After I came back to the church and explained how I still deserve to be a god due to the uniqueness and usefulness of my miracle drug, I was allowed to be added back to the pantheon. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Zath is very impressed by your story and admits that even though he is one of the most powerful gods on the island, he has always felt a bit insecure about his position because he wasn't born on the magical island. You are surprised to hear that Zath isn't from the magical continent. Okay. You ask Zath, if you are not from the magical continent, then where did you get your powers from? Everyone born on this continent has powers. I get my powers from a drug I created because I am not from the magical continent. Where did you get your powers from? Yeah, because this is actually like pretty interesting. Because essentially they've introduced Zath or Zath. I don't know how you're supposed to say his name. I think it's Zath. Wait, what? Zath explains to you that he is from a different planet entirely. He says his home planet has no magic at all, and its inhabitants gain their powers by being born with them. What? Okay, you are shocked to hear that Zath is an alien. You ask Zath how he ended up on Earth and becoming the god of the church. Dook, 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 dook. So the new god isn't even like an inhabitant of the island? That's kind of odd. Zath tells you a story. He says that he and other members of his alien race traveled to Earth in a giant vessel looking for resources to mine. While his comrades were enamored with the natural resources of Earth, Zath's interests were captured by human beings. Okay, interesting. I'm going to say to Zath, I am glad to hear that you took an interest in mankind. What made you decide to become the god of luck of the church? Goodness, I just woke up from a nap, so I'm looking at these like mistakes I'm making, and I'm like, no, took an interest, not took an interest. That tells you that his interest in humans was purely scientific at first. He says that the humans of this island lived by interesting beliefs and powers, so he decided to study them. Okay. You nod and say, I see. You are a fellow man of science. Or alien of science, I suppose. I used to be a chemist. So I understand the drive for wanting to study the world around you and learn more. While studying humans and their beliefs, what led you to becoming the god of luck of the church? Let's see. So I still have like 8.5 minutes left. Zapp explains that he soon became interested in the strange powers that humans were capable of. He says he quickly learned that the natives on this island worship gods to gain their favor for their daily struggles. I'm just going to hit enter because he'll probably just elaborate more if I just like let him keep talking instead of like interrupting him. The custom of praying to gods caught my interest. I don't remember what voice I did for Zath, but now I know he's an alien, so, excuse me, I might do a weird voice for him now. Their custom of praying to gods caught my interest. I decided to become a god myself and see if my powers could influence the population. So I became the god of luck and started giving my disciples good luck in their endeavors. Zath tells you. Okay. Cool. So it's interesting to see like an alien come down to Earth, become interested in mankind and their powers and their beliefs, and then decide that he wants to directly influence mankind by becoming a god. Let's see. I'm going to ask Zath. You mentioned that your people came to Earth to mine resources. Are your people going to make sure not to take too many precious resources from the planet? If they take too many precious resources, the Earth could suffer. I mean, not necessarily just the Earth, like humanity could suffer. Like we require resources to live, stuff like water and like air. So I'm curious, like if his people are going to respect that or if we're going to die. Zath says that he has nothing to do with the actions of his people. He says it is true that they came to mine resources, but he says they are not interacting with humans enough to have any real effect on their quality of life. So he's like, I don't have any control over like what my people do. I'm going to say to Zath, if you want to help the people, then you'll need to make sure that your people don't take too much food, water, and oxygen from the planet. Humans die if they cannot sustain themselves on the resources of the planet. You want to make sure that your followers have the resources they need to survive, and that your people don't take those resources from them. Do 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 do. Zath isn't sure what to say to this. He is silent for a minute before giving you an answer. I suppose you might have a point. I will contact my superiors to tell them how many resources they can take from the planet, Zath says. Let's see, I'm going to nod to Zath and say, thank you for taking my concerns into account. I just want to make sure that this church is able to continue living happily. Zath tells you that he will be sure to relay your concerns. He then says that it was a real treat for him to speak with someone who isn't one of his followers. Nice. Okay. I'm going to ask Zath, what would you do if your people decided that they were going to steal all of the natural resources of Earth? Yeah, because I do think that's actually like a pretty reasonable question. Like if they did try to do that, would Zath side with them or side with the church? Zath says that he would be very sad if this were to happen. He says that his people could only survive on these resources for so long, and after they ran out, his people would be forced to leave this planet and continue on their journey through space. I'm going to say to Zath, or at least ask Zath, are you saying that you wouldn't stop your people from taking all of these resources? Well, I mean, from taking all of the natural resources in order to protect the church? Ding, 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 ding. Excuse me. Zath says he would not, but he hopes that it doesn't come to that. He says that if his people are so desperate that they would resort to stealing the resources of an entire planet, these people would most likely be forced upon another planet capable of sustaining life. Okay? I'm going to bow to Zath and then go talk to my followers. And then I'm going to say to my followers, Zath has admitted that he is an alien from another world, and that he would allow his world to strip us of all of our natural resources and not protect the church. Do we really want Zath to be a god in our pantheon if Zath isn't willing to use his power to protect the church from aliens? Do 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 do. Your followers look at one another and then at you. They are unsure of what to say. I'm going to say to my followers, I believe that Zath's interest in the church is purely academic, and that Zath doesn't actually want to protect the church. Zath is here to study us. I think that Zath shouldn't be in the pantheon. I believe that gods should want to protect their church and not simply study it. Do 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 do. Your followers seem to agree with you. Zath is very puzzled by your disbelief. He said that he would be very sad if your people did not allow him to be part of your pantheon, but he understands if that's how you feel. Okay, so how much time do I have left? 0 seconds. I feel like if I were to continue the story further, I probably would ask Zath to reconsider what he said earlier, and essentially say, like, if you promise to help protect the church, even if it means going against your own people, then you're, like, allowed to stay in the pantheon. But if you're not willing to go against your own people to protect the church, then I think you should leave the pantheon. Like, I would give Zath an ultimatum, essentially, and then see whether or not he takes it, and if he didn't take it, then I would probably say that he should leave the pantheon. So that's where I would have taken the story forward. Technically, you could say that this is an ending all on its own right here, and just say that Zath is, like, puzzled, but at the same time, he, like, gets it, and that he's probably gonna leave. Like, if this was the last line of the story, I think it would be almost safe to say that Zath then, like, sadly but understandably leaves the church. I do think that this adventure overall was pretty interesting. The biggest pull is probably learning more about Zath and his origins and how he became a god and why he became a god. I honestly thought that this adventure was going to be about me trying to like maintain my title of god while while on a continent where everybody was naturally magical, while I needed some kind of supplement in order to be godlike. And I thought I'd be trying to like compete with the like monsters and superpowered people that already live on the continent in order to try and like keep my position. But instead, this was like a cool character study of Zath. Let me know your thoughts on this adventure and on Zath in the comment section below and on our Discord. If you guys have any video ideas, definitely send them to me on Discord. If I like your video idea, then I'll make your video a reality, but I'll charge you for it. I charge $7 per hour length of the video, with a $7 minimum for any videos that are less than an hour long. If you guys just want to help support the channel, feel free to hit up our Cash App, link in the description box below. Any and all donations are greatly appreciated. If you guys like AI Dungeon 2 videos, make sure you like this video and subscribe, because I do AI Dungeon 2 videos every day. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black the One Only, logging out. Peace, guys. Check it about.